worries you tonight?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you. It would be disrespectful to several others. It's an NBA game, and so I'll give you that answer. And it's by and large, it's truthful. I could go deeper than that, but I won't.
Brett, have you been able to pinpoint over the last few games what specifically is going on with the defense?
The obvious thing is the pick and rolls. The obvious thing is like the water bug guard. It's dynamic in a pick and roll. When you study it, Jimmy Butler is now our primary defensive player on ball carriers. Covington, Robert used to do that. And, that is a hard job to have the kind of demands and expectations offensively and then come back and have that assignment defensively, where you're really sort of asked to do it all, and like for instance, if you use Robert, he'd dog the ball, and then he'd, make his occasional three and do other things, and so Jimmy's kind of doing it all. He's been in more pick and rolls this year with us than he has been in the past, and when there are actually metrics to support that comment, and so I think, trying to help him more. Do you bring Joel up higher, say, where he's a presence, the guards can feel him more? There's punishment with that at 7'2", and they, might be able to go by him. Might you change the matchup on the primary screen setter and let Ben guard that? And so this thing is pick and roll driven, I think, for the most part. We had sort of a second practice yesterday, with a new team, and we'll get better, but I think some of those lapses or just areas that we need to grow and need work in are there.
He said it would take growth defensively, but he said offensively it can be easy. Has it been easy for you integrating him in you, or is it a little more difficult than that?
For me, it's more difficult than that in so much that you want to put him sort of precisely where he feels he can score the easiest. And what you do is you think and you study film and you study stats and analytics, and I watched probably, 400 of his made baskets over his career before, as the trade happened, to try to figure out how do I best integrate him and put him, in places, and where does it fit with what we currently run. And some of the thoughts that I had initially weren't right. And so it's evolving now where his play call world is small, and we're learning more as time unfolds. But it's easy because he's that good. But to be precise and be my version of easy, we're not there yet. And so my version will be, it's 92-92 and there's 2 minutes left in the playoffs. Where does he most want to be? Where do I place him the best that I can? That's easy. When I can find that level of easy, then I'll give you the answer. It's easy. For him, maybe, but for the coach, not right now.
Brett, with 3 days apparently of examination, what reports have you gotten on Markel folks?
Really none. We're not going to know as much as we need to or are prepared to share right now, because it's so sort of not definitive until the end of the week. I think that we've said Friday that Elton and the organization hopes to give information. It may not be Friday, so I don't want to be sort of pregnant with that day. But to date, there's really nothing more to talk about.
Can you give us a sense of what you've had Monty do on the staff this season and what his presence has brought to the team?
I've known Monty for, I think it's since 2004. He and I worked with each other in San Antonio. And, he has been a friend of mine for a very long time. And when I studied him, in Portland as an assistant, and when you really watched him grow in New Orleans, and I knew the person, I had a really good idea of kind of the package, what I think his strengths are, him as a human being, and he's elite. he's one of my all-time favorites. And when you look at sort of my belief on where he can grow with me the fastest and the best, and I can put him in a position where he can naturally just absorb the things that we've been doing and grow, it was more on a play call basis, more on the offensive side of things. He and I communicate, sort of do the substitution and talk about that with some analytic help and judgment of what the Knicks do, and Coach O'Brien a lot. And so it ends up, you know, a holistic thing on the staff, but zoomed in specifically on some play call stuff and substitution stuff and end of game stuff.
The Knicks are coming off, they're having part two of back-to-back tonight. They're coming off of a game which ended their season-long winning streak. What are you guarding against tonight in terms of trying to avoid a letdown?
I mean, I think that defensive rebounding is where my mind is most at. It sounds simplistic, but that's, I think when we look back on, if we come with a spirit, I mean, so much of, I think, a coach's challenge, my main kind of responsibility is you're always fighting for the spirit of your team, for the soul of your team. Do you come and do you respect things on a 48-minute basis, and do you play to the level that we need to play on a 48-minute basis? Now, every coach would say the same thing, either the way I did or differently, but ultimately, like, that's my job, that's our job. And so to come with that spirit is number one. To get granular and sort of specific in the sort of scheme of stuff, I think you go right to the stat sheet and look at defensive rebounds as one of the key things. And so it's the spirit coming to play here at home. Our last memory playing here at home stunk, and we want to fix it. And specifically, it's defensive rebounding.
So how much did that Cleveland loss factor into that message that you have tonight prior to the game?
I mean, it's all part of it, you know. Really, you know, I think we're playing okay. You know, I think that we've won a bunch of close games. Nobody led by me is getting tricked that we're third, you know, in the Eastern Conference. I don't feel like we're third. And in many ways, you know, we shouldn't be playing with a rhythm that we want to play with. There's a newness that you know, led by me that I got to be mindful of and patient with. But it's just something like, we're playing okay basketball and we want to keep playing better and better and better. And so it's a spirit, it's defensive rebounding, it's continuing to play with each other, that stuff.
Why do you think Ben Simmons does not take many shots in the fourth quarter?
I think now probably there's a lot of options that he might not have had in previous sort of situations with JJ and Joel and Jimmy. I don't feel like he's not proactive. I don't feel like he's not confident. I think some of it's just the way the game unfolds. And I think when you really look at, say, how teams are guarding him, especially when it matters most in the fourth period, there's a team notion of everybody's got to, you know, get back and show Ben Simmons a crowd and try to just pack the paint. You know, he's got jaw-dropping speed. He's a runaway train at 6'10", and so I think everything is sort of heightened and more sort of a disciplined approach to guarding him. I think some of those things factor into it.
With that being the case, wouldn't you like to see him just show somebody a jump shot so they don't pack the paint?
I mean, this question's never going to go away. I know, and what I really think, and you're not going to probably like my answer, or believe it, I don't think, like, say you do, about his jump shot is going to define him, and now all of a sudden things are going to change. You know, I saw Rajon Rondo, like, win championships and do a lot of great things without that. Like, my mind is still how do you play defense to the level that we want? His post game, he's 6'10". You know, whether it's a turn and face at an ISO spot or a pound jump hook, and then his free throw. Like, that's when he's 22 years old. I feel like, and that's not to live it as an excuse. It's a really young player. Sometimes we forget because he's that good. That he's only 22 years old, and so it will happen. I think it's going to happen more on his terms than the coaches, where he just got to feel comfortable, and he didn't really do it at LSU either, and so he's pretty good even without it. I do concede he's going to need it at some point, but I definitely don't feel like it's going to define him.
Brett, Ben and Jimmy have kind of been joined at the hip in the rotation so far. They've been very joined at the hip. Like they've played, when Jimmy's on the floor, generally Ben is too. A lot of their minutes have been shitter.
Yeah.
Is that ideally how you want to run this, or eventually as Jimmy's more comfortable within the system, within the offense, would you like to stagger them more so you can get more time with just Jimmy running things on the perimeter and mix and match?
Mix and match. As that thing unfolds, and it's a little bit, what we were speaking about, the comfort level of, him scoring easy, and, are we in a place right now that's, here we are, we're in the current of an NBA stream. That thing that you just said is still being judged of how we play this group. There are times, if you saw, like in the last game, I put Ben out with not Jimmy, Joel, or JJ, and let him run riot, let him just run the gym with a bunch of shooters and so on. We're trying to judge that. I think that in a funny way, I think that Jimmy's going to be able to benefit playing with more of a traditional, point guard like TJ, and like let him feature in the offense because TJ's just going to run it and Ben's not going to, run rogue or do things that Ben can do. And so that thing that you just said is on our mind of how we best sub it and play it. And it also comes with some consultation when you sit down with players, like I don't like to sit for 3 minutes at the end of a period and then, like start the 8-minute mark of the second. I'm sitting for 8 minutes. And I listen to that. I listen to that. So somewhere out there in time, you're going to get to strike the balance of both worlds. How I think we need to play this team, what gut feel says on the matchups and who plays well with each other, and a little bit about feedback from the player. And so that's a long answer to yes, a little bit of that. A little bit to that.
Seems like guys to
Right, what's the latest with Zaire? Is he like doing any on court stuff or at the practices or?
He is, and it's slow, Keith. It's not anything that's with us. He has worked out with one of our assistant coaches, and usually, it's later at night and not with the team. My expectation at some point will be to integrate him a lot with the G League, and let him practice and play and let him grow in that environment instead of, kind of be stuck in a prisoner to this NBA thing where we don't really practice that much, nor will we play. But his path at the moment is something like that. It is good.
So like you've been going for a week, 2 weeks?
A week. I'd say it's not 2 weeks. Yeah.
Basically just shooting drills.
Yes. Yeah, just light movement, light work, gradual introduction to playing.
Brett, if you use Joel to come out a little bit more to meet the high pick and rolls, and you open yourself up to having him be driven past, if you develop secondary rim protection, is the danger then that the corner threes would kill you?
Completely, Bob. And like and this is the ripple effect of it all. This is the ripple effect of it all. And long before analytics told us about the three-point shot, long before that, pick and roll defense kept coaches up since I've been in the league, and it hasn't changed. And so when you really get back to the notion of what sword are you prepared to die on, and really it's as simple as a long contested two. And I'm purposefully pausing. And so if this is true, and in my mind it changes the last 4 minutes of a game, then if you get into the point of confrontation where it's too vulnerable in relation to, ultimately you're going to produce rotations, which is the holy grail of what you don't want to do. And so if we bring Joel up, and you get a little water bug guard going by 7'2". I mean, it's not like he's, Nerlens and down, like he's 7'2". Then the ripple effects behind it are punishing. And so, like, you can say, have all the rim protection you want, but that thing's gonna kill you.
But what if the twos aren't contested?
But what if the what?
What if the twos aren't contested?
Well, then that's a little bit of a problem, so you hope the twos are contested. But you can see, like, I think that we have the ability to go blitz from time to time with pick and roll. But for all of us to think, like, Joel Embiid's position of strength, and it was the same way with Duncan as he got older, is going to be showing some level of confrontation at the level of a screen. Shame on us. It's just not right. It's not fair. It's not physically possible. And so when you have 7'2", like, put him back where he belongs. Now, there is some punishment with that, as we've just, heard the math, and Jimmy's now in more pick and rolls, and, like, that's something we got to figure out at some point soon. But it's not an easy answer. Thanks, everybody.